Hey guys, so Konami recently released a brand new Silent Hill game, Silent Hill: The Short Message. I knew nothing about this game, maybe I'm just out of the loop, but this game kinda came out of nowhere. Now, most of my viewers may know I'm a huge Silent Hill fanatic, and when I say that, I more so mean Silent Hill 1 through 4. Origins was okay, I absolutely hated Homecoming. Shattered Memories was surprisingly decent on the PS2, but the Wii version kinda sucks in my opinion, and honestly I never gave Downpour a chance. With that being said, was I happy when Konami announced that there was a plethora of Silent Hill games on the horizon? No, not really. But of course, I'm still going to give them a chance because why not? Well, things didn't start off very well with Silent Hill Ascension. I mean, look at these raving reviews. I tried watching a couple episodes, and while the concept was interesting with how the community decides how the story unfolds, overall it just didn't do anything for me. For one, there's way too many characters to keep up with, there's like 3 or 4 different stories going on, and the worst part, it doesn't take place in Silent Hill. I mean, the series is named after the town the games are based in. Maybe the town plays a part later on in the story, but I didn't make it that far. Now, you could argue that Silent Hill 4 doesn't take place in the town of Silent Hill, but there's still a connection to the town, as the main antagonist, Walter Sullivan, was essentially raised by the Wish House Orphanage that was run by the Order, which is the cult that resides in Silent Hill. And hell, a huge chunk of Silent Hill 3 also doesn't take place in Silent Hill. But you eventually make your way to the town, but once again, the Order is essential to the story, and we'll talk more about the Order later. So does a Silent Hill game have to take place in the town of Silent Hill? Maybe not, but I feel like the town should be connected in some way. Again, it's called Silent Hill for a reason. With all that out of the way, what about the short message? Now, I'm not gonna really review this game in depth, primarily to avoid spoilers, but there's not much to talk about. The game is relatively short, it only took me about an hour and a half to complete, which you could consider a negative, but the game is free, which is a plus. While starting off, the game is set in a small town in Germany, not in Silent Hill. You play as a teenage girl named Anita who is receiving strange text messages from her friend Maya beckoning her to come to this apartment complex called the Villa. I don't want to say too much more about the story again to avoid spoilers, but I am getting some rehashed vibes here. I'll just say that. Regarding the main character Anita, I really did not like this character at all at first. She's your typical woe is me teenager. Now don't get me wrong, I've dealt with depression throughout my life. It sucks. It really does. However, at first it just seems like her depression all stems from a lack of social media validation, which is crazy that this is a thing kids today feel stress and anxiety over. Not getting enough likes on a social media post or not having enough followers. Hell, if I post something on Facebook, I'm lucky if I get 5 likes, and one of those is guaranteed to be my mom, so it's kind of hard for me to relate. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Eventually you learn a bit more about her upbringing and discover her problems are a bit more complex than that. I do like the fact that Konami decided to touch on a very sensitive subject, as the story revolves heavily around suicide and how destructive bullying can really be. However though, the story feels very on the nose in my opinion. It doesn't really leave much to interpretation, which is what makes the older games classics. That's about all I want to say about the story. How's the gameplay? Well, there's not much here. You wander around the apartment complex finding news articles that you can read and eventually uncover more about Anita's life along with her friends. I can't say I was a big fan of the live action cutscenes though. For me, it just makes the game feel kinda disconnected. You also receive text messages from one of your friends, Amelie, who plays a pretty important role in the story. Okay, I know I'm getting old, but when cell phones play such an important role in movies and video games, it kinda drives me nuts. I don't know why. I even have a hard time taking songs seriously that talk about DMs and whatnot. But I guess it's no different than the songs I grew up with talking about waiting by the phone for someone to call. As far as monsters go, there's really only one that you encounter during these chase sections, which sort of reminds me of Shattered Memories. These sort of get old rather quickly though. The monster is unique for a Silent Hill game. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Anyway, that's all I feel like I can really say without giving too much away. Overall, as a free game, it's not bad. The story, like I said, is very on the nose, but I appreciate what they were going for. I think the overall lesson that can be taken from the story is sometimes all it takes is a small gesture to save someone's life. With that being said though, it's not Silent Hill, which is my biggest problem. And that leads me to why I wanted to make this video. Personally, I feel Konami is simply trying to chase the success of Silent Hill 2. Don't get me wrong, Silent Hill 2 is my favorite in the series and no doubt one of my all-time favorite video games. But that's because there's nothing else like it. And honestly, there'll probably never be another game like it. While I enjoy Silent Hill 2, the other games are still classics that I love. But it seems like their primary focus is only on psychological horror, and it almost seems like they're just ignoring the other games in the series. especially Silent Hill 1. I mean, the HD collection didn't even have Silent Hill 1. And while you could argue that Shattered Memories is technically a remake of Silent Hill 1, it's more of a reimagining. So instead of us getting a modern remake of a classic PS1 game, which, let's be honest, if any game in the series needs a remake, it's the first Silent Hill, they skipped it and went right to 2. Why? Well, thanks to my buddy Shane, he was able to find an article discussing the decision to remake 2 instead of 1. I don't know how credible this article is, but here is apparently a quote from the producer involved in the remake. When we thought about what Silent Hill's identity is, we came to the conclusion that it's the true psychological horror of the series. And when you ask people what true psychological horror is, just about everyone will tell you Silent Hill 2. We decided that if the brand's identity is true psychological horror, we needed to start by remaking Silent Hill 2. There were of course some people inside the company who thought it would be better to start with 1, but I wanted to start this project with something that symbolizes this identity. So there you have it. The game that started it all somehow does not reflect the identity of the series. So if that's the case, are we only getting a remake of Silent Hill 2? Because I don't feel like you can remake Silent Hill 3 unless you remake Silent Hill 1. And it's going to be kind of confusing if they do Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 1, Silent Hill 3. Which brings me back to The Order. Personally, I love the idea of The Order, a cult that can pretty much be blamed for all the events that occur in Silent Hill, but you can't just ignore one of the biggest aspects of the series. But what really grinds my gears is now these events can basically occur anywhere in the world. People in places that aren't even connected to the town of Silent Hill in any way. One of the articles you find in the short message discusses what psychologists call the Silent Hill phenomenon, where apparently people experience brain fog so severe they legit see the world foggy, which I'm assuming might explain how Silent Hill F will take place in Japan? Don't get me wrong, that's the one game I'm actually kind of excited about, but still, it's not Silent Hill. Here's the thing, my biggest concern is Konami did not have faith in these projects and are simply slapping the name Silent Hill to make money. I understand wanting to branch out and having a game series based in a single town might stifle your creativity, but why not simply make a new series and consider it a spiritual successor? Is that really so hard? I mean, they're kinda already doing that. But in my opinion, they're clearly using the Silent Hill name as what I believe the kids today would say is clout? Am I using that right? Maybe it's just me, but what made Silent Hill wasn't just the psychological horror. I think there's more to the series than just that, but I think a lot of us fell in love with the town itself. So not having a Silent Hill game based in the town it's named after just doesn't feel right. And allowing these similar events to take place all around the world makes the town itself less special and pretty much irrelevant in a way. Well, anyway guys, what are your thoughts on the current state and the future state of Silent Hill? I'd be kind of curious to see your thoughts. Thanks again for watching guys, you know what to do, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you again next time.